Have you ever caught yourself wondering, what if I'm not as smart as I think I am? It's a terrifying question, isn't it? One most people avoid at all costs, because deep down, we fear the possibility that we've been living in illusion, mistaking ignorance for wisdom, noise for knowledge, confidence for competence. And yet, this is not just a personal fear. It's a collective sickness, a silent epidemic that runs through every society, every age, and every civilization. This sickness has a name. Today, psychologists call it the Dunning-Kruger Effect. But centuries before, philosophers and thinkers had already warned us, from Socrates, who famously admitted, "I know that I know nothing," to Nietzsche, who wrote of the herd blindly convinced of their own correctness, to Machiavelli, who warned that people are easily deceived because they want to be. The uncomfortable truth is this: stupidity isn't just the absence of intelligence. It's something far more dangerous, the confident certainty of the ignorant. Think about it. The most dangerous fool is not the one who doubts himself, who hesitates, who fears he may be wrong. No, the most dangerous fool is the one who speaks with conviction, who is utterly convinced of his brilliance, who dismisses every correction as an attack and every truth as an inconvenience. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a theologian who lived under the shadow of Nazi Germany, once said something chilling. Stupidity is more dangerous than malice, because while you can reason with evil, you cannot reason with the stupid. Evil knows what it's doing. Stupidity thinks it's righteous. And here's the paradox. Those who know the least often shout the loudest. Those who understand the least cling the hardest to their beliefs. The weak mind shields itself with arrogance, like cheap armor polished to look like steel. But ask yourself, how often do you wear this armor? You see, it's easy to laugh at stupid people, as if they're a species apart, as if we ourselves are exempt. But the truth is harsher. We all fall into stupidity. We all overestimate ourselves. The Dunning-Kruger effect doesn't just apply to others. It applies to you, to me, to every single human being who's ever lived. And that's what makes it terrifying. Because ignorance disguised as wisdom doesn't just live in individuals. It scales up. It infects politics, culture, even civilization itself. Nietzsche warned us of this when he wrote of the herd. The herd doesn't think, it follows. It doesn't question, it accepts. And worst of all, it rewards the loud, the confident, the self-assured, not the wise. The herd loves leaders who reflect their illusions back to them, who confirm their ignorance as truth. This is why corrupt leaders rise, why liars prosper, why narcissists and fools find themselves in positions of power, because we mistake their certainty for intelligence, and so we applaud as the blind lead the blind, straight into the abyss. History proves it again and again. Ancient Athens, once the birthplace of philosophy and democracy, condemned Socrates, the wisest man in the city, to death because his questions made people uncomfortable. Rome, at the height of its power, became addicted to spectacle, rewarding shallow entertainment over thoughtful governance until the empire collapsed into decadence. And in our modern age, look around. Scroll through social media. Listen to the voices that rise. Who gets the attention? Who gathers the followers? Is it the careful, the nuanced, the wise? Or is it the bold, the loud, the overconfident, the ones who speak first and think later? We live in an age where confidence is currency, where certainty is rewarded more than truth, where millions will rather follow a charismatic fool than a humble sage. And slowly, piece by piece, civilization itself bends to the will of ignorance. But here's the most haunting part. Bonhoeffer believed stupidity was not merely an individual flaw, but a social disease. He wrote that people do not become stupid in isolation. They become stupid as part of a group, as part of a crowd. The herd makes us stupider than we are alone. Surrounded by voices that echo our beliefs, we grow bolder, more certain, less willing to question ourselves. What was once doubt becomes conviction. What was once a possibility becomes truth. And suddenly, stupidity is no longer embarrassing. It's celebrated. And so we live in a paradoxical world. The more connected we become, the less thoughtful we are. The more voices we hear, the less wisdom we find. The more certain we feel, the the more likely we are to be wrong. So, what do we do? How do we resist this sickness? The first step is to admit the possibility that you may not be as wise as you think you are. This sounds simple, but it's the hardest thing in the world. To question your own certainty, to sit with doubt, to accept that maybe, just maybe, you are wrong. Socrates called this the beginning of wisdom. Not knowledge, not cleverness, not intelligence, humility. The recognition that the more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. The second step is courage, because humility alone is not enough. It must be paired with the courage to seek truth, even when it's painful, even when it shatters your illusions. Nietzsche wrote, "Convictions are more dangerous enemies of truth than lies." To free yourself from stupidity, you must be willing to kill your convictions again and again, in search of something deeper. The third step is responsibility. Bonhoeffer warned that stupidity grows in crowds. This means you are responsible not only for your own mind, but for the minds you influence. Every time you share a thought, a belief, an opinion, you either feed ignorance or you fight it. But let's be honest, it is far easier to feed it. It is far easier to speak with confidence than with humility. Far easier to repeat what feels good than to search for what is true. Far easier to mock stupid people than to recognize the stupidity within ourselves. And yet, that is the challenge. To resist the intoxicating comfort of certainty. To resist the herd. To resist the arrogance that makes us blind. Because the truth is this: civilizations don't fall to external enemies. They rot from within. They collapse under the weight of their own ignorance, their own illusions, their own stupidity disguised as wisdom. Look closely and you'll see the pattern everywhere, in history, in politics, in culture, and in yourself. The fall begins not with evil, but with foolishness, not with malice, but with certainty. So I ask you, how certain are you really? How much of what you believe is truth, and how much is illusion? How often do you confuse your confidence with intelligence? And most importantly, are you brave enough to doubt yourself? Because maybe the real danger isn't that the world is full of stupid people. Maybe the real danger is that we are all one step away from becoming one ourselves. And that thought, the recognition of our own fragility, our own ignorance, may be the only thing that can save us.